How are you guys doing this morning, Frank and Ian?
We're doing well. Thank you for having us on again, Dawn.
Of
We
course.
appreciate
Thanks,
you.
Dawn. Thanks, Dawn.
It's like you guys are the best, and we love you, and we love what you're doing because it's at the grassroots level that every weekend you are out there and you are confronting all the insanity
Absolutely.
that
Yep.
that we see in our region, and so we.
Someone's got to do it.
Oh my gosh!
Yes.
So give us the I know you gave us some videos. You want to go through those? What do you want to?
Yeah.
So we
sounds
can
good.
do that. Yeah, so we had a debate on Saturday, as we usually do, 4 to 6 p.m. at Logan Square. And what we're realizing is a lot of Republicans are coming out to support us. We actually had a bunch of people there to show support, and it was an awesome time. The drummer boy did not show up,
Oh.
but the next day, we actually went to a demonstration. We weren't really sure what kind of demonstration it was. We just knew there was a demonstration going on. And we saw Drummer Boy there and a couple, I'll say radical leftists who singled us out almost immediately.
Instantly.
So we had a pretty action-packed weekend with the debate and then that demonstration.
And so at this, can we roll some of the video? Do we have sound? Let's listen in
A lot of
and
people
watch.
would claim that I'm a leftist, so I guess a lot of the views I have about the world, the country.
Why? Why do people claim you're a leftist?
I think a lot of my views align with the left. So
What one would you say sticks out as something that really aligns with the left?
I guess it'd be easier to say which ones don't stick out. But I don't know. Like, I mean, you could. I think a lot of like what the Democratic Party is supposed to stand for, I think I agree with.
What do you think it should stand for?
Okay.
Helping, like, putting the country first is, I think, is 100%.
America first.
America first should always be, a big thing.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
Do you think that it is putting America first to deport illegal immigrants?
That's an interesting question.
Wait for it. So what you're doing here just by asking people questions, and it's really something that Charlie Kirk did very well, and that is just to ask people, what do you believe in?
Yeah.
What do you stand for?
If you notice, Frank only asked why.
Yeah.
There was no other, exchange there other than, asking why. And I guess ask why and the truth will reveal itself.
And what we're realizing is that's the most important thing. So, if they can articulate why they believe what they believe, then that's great. But what we're realizing is that the people who come up, they can't articulate anything. And it seems like a lot of people have been propagandized. And that's really all it is. And when you say something like, is it a negative thing to get fentanyl off our streets? They wouldn't be able to answer that either because they're just constantly propagandized. Trump is the enemy.
Yeah.
Well, no, Trump's stopping illegal immigration, putting Americans first, and getting fentanyl off the streets. And I'm confused as to how any of that is a negative thing. And I think even Democrats are having a hard time answering that one. The most powerful thing we could do as Republicans is ask why, because, reason is on our side.
Ask why. And here's the thing, and by the way, Frank and Ian, surgephilly.com. You can follow them on social media. They're on Insta, X, Facebook, etc. And it's Help Us Save Philly. This fight is not free. It takes time, money, and effort. Any contribution will help us fight for a freer, fairer Philadelphia. So as you guys, now let me ask you something, Frank and Ian, as you're out here every weekend, as you're going to these different events, do you find that some of the people who are coming there to maybe debate you are now joining up with you?
So the one guy, Lex the protagonist, one of the main guys who was protesting us, came with a megaphone and he started to yell, but we walked right up to him and we asked him, why are you here? Let's talk. And we actually ended up agreeing on like 60% of things. And he actually seemed like he wanted to join us. So we're seeing the power.
And also, I just want to add, he denounced Larry Krasner as well.
Really?
So it seems as though we could find some common ground with, these people. They do have to work on themselves a bit, but I'm glad they're starting to come around, and it's going to have to be, setting up in Logan Square every weekend. It's going to take that to do it.
And so Pat Dugan, obviously a longtime Democrat and longtime judge in Philadelphia, decided to, for the first time in his life, I think, put an R behind his name and run against District Attorney Larry Krasner, who has been reelected over and over, who is the incumbent. You guys know the reality of it. We all know the reality that once somebody is settled in as an incumbent, has a big name, usually it gets easier and easier. I mean, so what do you say about this? I know that you've just talked about this, that the community may not have full support for him. I don't think anybody thinks Krasner's I'm going to be honest. I don't think anybody thinks that Krasner will lose in tomorrow's election.
I think that there's a real chance, but I also see that, people are not optimistic, and it's something we have to work on. And Surge Philly is going to play a huge role in raising the optimism and showing people that we can do it going forward. But I think there is a chance that Larry Krasner loses. But I think the problem is that we have retention for the Supreme Court. And essentially what Larry did is he said, I'm against Trump. Mm-hmm. So a bunch of people who are coming out to retain the justices are going to vote,
right,
for Larry Krasner. And that's the real problem. But again, there is a chance because everybody is fed up with this dude, or they think he's just incompetent and sucks. I was reading Reddit posts, and we all know about Reddit. Mm-hmm. It's a very blue-pilled site.
Yeah.
But the one guy was like, I agree with Larry, but when I was serving him coffee, he was a horrible person.
Wow.
And it's kind of like the experience we had with him in the park. He's not a good guy, and everybody can see it.
And I just want to add, Larry Krasner stiffed a local pizza joint for $1,200 for
what?
For it's an outstanding debt on his PAC, and this was publicized. And Larry Krasner actually stiffed a local pizza joint for $1,200 worth of pizza. He hasn't paid that bill in, I believe, 2 years.
Uh-oh. You got to pay for the pizza.
Yeah, come on.
Maybe it's not it's not the South Jersey pizza brawl that we showed the other day, but we did have that earlier. But, on this one, at the very least, I do have to wonder if some of this sinks in with Krasner, whether or not, because I think by all accounts, it would be a surprise. It would be an upset, right? If he lost this. If Dugan, who nobody says anything bad about Dugan that I've seen, everybody says, yeah, he's a good guy, but, it is what it is. That's what I'm hearing. But with him, what impressed me was, Frank, he knew your name. He actually is watching you guys. So he's paying attention to that. And that was, what was that, a month ago at this point?
Yeah. Around that.
He obviously follows what you guys are doing. And so by that, it at the very least gives me hope that he's listening to that and seeing what the community is saying and how they're critical of him.
And what we're going to do is we're going to continue to hold him accountable. Whoever is in charge, we're going to hold them accountable. And Larry Krasner is not going to get away with what he got away with before. He's going to be held accountable, and he's, and if he doesn't at least partially act with common sense, then he will be voted out next time, if not tomorrow.
Well, and I would say this about as far as Krasner goes, what's also fascinating to me is the last, the story where we had this beautiful young lady that I know we talked a lot about her. I won't belabor it, but even there was a change.org petition to fire him over allowing the alleged perpetrator and killer of a beautiful young Philadelphia woman who was stalked on social media, by all reports, stalked and then kidnapped.
Mm-hmm.
And even some of her own family members were saying that in and of itself should make it that this guy resigns, that Krasner resigns.
Yeah. And, that's a real concern. And it has to get to a point where it's hard to ignore. Mayor Sherrill, she's been very quiet.
Yeah.
It has to get to a point where popular support is in jeopardy. So she has to come out and now either denounce Krasner, support Krasner, or be indifferent. She's been indifferent so far. But if we could get enough signatures on petitions, if we could get enough people going down to the DA's office and peacefully demonstrating, if we could get enough people in the streets saying fire Larry Krasner day in and day out, whether he's voted in or not, the next 4 years, some heat will die off post-election. But if we could keep the heat on him, I see no reason why in 4 years, if someone decides to run, they don't unseat Larry Krasner. Or there's also we could explore the removal from office pathway, because there is grounds for that, perhaps, if Larry Krasner is found personally liable for maliciously prosecuting Inspector Joe Bologna, which he's in court for right now.
Yes.
And the Supreme Court actually said that they would hear the case. So it's going to be interesting, but the fight is never going to stop. The fight's always going to continue. We're going to fight, and we're going to fire Larry Krasner.
It's just the beginning of holding these politicians accountable. They're not going to get away with what they got away with before with all the woke stuff. It's over. We want common sense, and we're going to demand it from our politicians at all levels of government.
Yeah, and to your point about Krasner, for example, in the Kata Scott case, the fact that he held the news conference and held a couple of news conferences, but was basically trying to throw, judges. We talked about it.
Everyone
under
but
the bus.
himself.
Yes.
It shows his character.
So I think that it does, but unfortunately for Philadelphia, I hope you're right, because we need that accountability and we need the transparency. But I think that what we have going for us is you guys, Frank and Ian. So what's next?
High praise. That's high praise. Thank you, Dawn.
No, I really mean it, because I love that what you're doing is just a grassroots effort for the conversation. I mean, that's really what you're doing. And I don't know that you're as political when you're on the ground and you're having conversations with people. It's not really about politics. It's about the issues.
Yeah, totally. And to your point, we try not to let the political, partisan issues really corrupt our arguments or anything like that. But we do understand that there is a political nature to these things.
Yeah.
The far left and the Democratic Party, in a lot of ways, has been overrun by a lot of radicals. And the Republican Party has to stand for common sense. We have to stand for reason. We have to stand for faith, family, and country. And if we do that, if we can continue being a shining light in a lot of ways, the darkness that's in our world today, then I think we'll be in good shape. I think our kids will be in good shape, and I think our grandkids will be in good shape. So we just have to keep fighting the good fight and, wear the armor of God every single day.
And to add on to that, what we can do every single week is we could show up in Logan Square and have conversations. We can invite people from the other party, invite people who may not agree with us to come talk to us. And we're going to continue to do that. And even if they can't agree with us right away, or if they don't want to agree with us on camera, at least we'll plant the seed. At least we'll put a face to the beliefs and show people that we do care about this city, that we are standing on our convictions. And that's the name of the game, I think, going forward.
Well, listen, you guys are the best. We'll talk next Monday, because we talk every Monday. But Frank and Ian, Surge Philly, you want to follow them? And what can we do for you? What can people do for you this week?
So if anybody wants to come out to Logan Square this upcoming Saturday, they're more than welcome. If anybody wants to contribute anything, surgephilly.com. We are going to fight, but the fight ain't free. So if anybody wants to make a contribution, surgephilly.com, surgephilly.com. But really just like, share, comment on our videos too. That's really important. And spread the message.
Amen. You guys are the best. Frank and Ian.
Thank you, Dawn.
Surgephilly.com. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Dawn.
Thank you.